always been very interested in problems and solutions. It's very natural for me to just move around the world and start to notice things. And I start to notice, like, that's a problem. Like, how many people does that guy, is there another person who has that problem? So it just kind of comes very naturally to me, the whole entrepreneurship thing. And I had many, many ventures before Sunshine, 12 other ventures before Sunshine. Sunshine is my 13th company. And it's the company I've gotten the furthest along in as well. So I've seen the mistakes and the errors and so on that I've made along the way. And with Sunshine, it's like, yeah, there's still a lot to learn, but it's trending in a very, very positive direction. And just a description of what Sunshine is, we started as a stablecoin exchange in Trinidad and Tobago, exchanging stablecoins, that is USDT and USDC, for TT dollars. So, of course, a stablecoin is a cryptocurrency or a digital asset that's one-to-one with a fiat currency. In our case, we deal with US dollar stablecoins. That's USDT by a company called Tether and USDC by a company called Circle. So we started buying and selling these stablecoins for local currency because TT dollars, because we realized that there's this big sort of like US dollar problem. And persons, when they go to the bank to get $100, $500, you could be banking with them for your entire life. You may not have a credit card, but if you try to get that $100, they may say, nah, sorry, we don't have that $100. But people still need the US dollars. They still demand hard currency to buy things outside of Trinidad and Tobago. So we realized people started buying stable coins, USDT, USDC. And as we started to sell it, we realized, there's a lot of demand for this. So we got into that business of the Stablecoin Exchange, and it's since grown to, Sunshine has since grown to become much more than a stablecoin exchange. We are now about to launch as a remittance service in the United States as well. So we will become a remittance exchange, offering a service very similar to Western Union, MoneyGram, Rio, and also operating this local stablecoin exchange. So the vision of the company, the mission, the values, all of this has developed over the last 4 years. And yeah, it's just a really exciting time for us in terms of building the company. But then there's also this bill that came out on Friday.
Which obviously
2 weeks ago.
Is going to be my first question.
Yeah.
Or my first direction that we talk about. Because you mentioned, I mean, I've heard about Sunshine, of course, before. Through my kind of dealings with cryptocurrency and everything to kind of go along with it. And I know that you all have been building it for some time, making headway, building clientele, building bridges, as I'm sure in that industry is half the battle.
Sure.
A bill like this that came up 2 weeks ago, and it's kind of overarching language of essentially what is banning cryptocurrency and the holding and the issuing of cryptocurrency. You all have been operating for some time. Can you give us some insight on, or give me some insight on maybe why now, or what does it feel like to just all of a sudden wake up on a Saturday morning and hear about your business may now be illegal?
And well, for me, it was an afternoon nap. I was taking an afternoon nap on Saturday,
right.
And I woke up and I see messages coming from 2 other players in the industry with the bill, and I'm reading it. And I'm like, it seems pretty intense. And then I'm speaking to one of them, and they're saying, well, you know what this means? And I'm like, well, I'm just reading it, but what does it mean? He's like, you can't do what you're doing. And I was like, you sure? And when I started to read it and get into it, because we got into it it came out on Friday. Almost no one was aware of it on the Friday, but everyone was aware of it by Saturday.
Yeah.
Right? So
I got it Friday evening.
You got it Friday evening? Yeah. So you were one of the first persons to get it in that sense, right?
As I know, Saturday it blew up.
Yeah, it blew up on Saturday. So Saturday we're reading the bill, I'm reading the bill, and I'm realizing, So, I mean, when you're a startup as well, it's not a Monday to Friday thing. Like if something like this happens, it's me with my leadership team like, hey, this thing came out, and it's us starting to go back and forth immediately from that Saturday. And, utilizing like our own discernment to sort of figure out, well, what's this really saying? Because it's a pretty short bill. It's not very comprehensive. It's pretty short. It's basically saying just like, it's one thing. It's just like a bunch of fines, bunch of jail time, one main course of action, which is the entire space is going to come under this sort of blanket ban, right? And it's, I mean, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I would imagine. I mean, at the end of the day, the whole world is developing in the cryptocurrency space, building, products, services, whatever the case may be. And at the end of the day, I look at, when I read the bill, my first thought was, why? Right? And then my next thought was, why now?
Yeah.
So I've sort of had my finger on the pulse of kind of what's going on around the world in terms of regulation for stablecoins, and of course in the US, and talk about the strategic Bitcoin reserve and companies buying cryptocurrencies to create a treasury companies and
strategy and many
I mean
others.
it's moving. I mean the whole world is developing in this area.
Correct.
So then why can't we, according to our government, should this bill pass, why can't we?
Right.
And I guess my immediately I thought, okay, well, somebody wants to be able to control the way that we issue stable coins, or the government is threatened by the issuance of stable coins that could potentially further undermine the TT dollar.
Right. Well, yeah, let me be politically correct.
Yes. Well, that's fine. I mean, either way, but yes, I know you'll be respectful regardless.
No, I'm always respectful regardless. Yeah. It's just why now? Why is this happening now? Well, I mean, we've been following it since that Saturday, and we reached out to every possible person. I mean, Monday, we viewed this entire thing. Saturday, Sunday. Monday was our day to hit the ground running, and we did exactly that. We reached out to every party we possibly could have, whether it was the government, the opposition, independent senators, started to reach out to the media, reach out to our community. We have a community of over 2,000 customers in Trinidad and Tobago who have all gone through like a KYC process with us. We have a lot of them in a WhatsApp group that we have. So we reached out to everyone and just told them what was going on. And we started to just dig and talk to people and try to find out like what's going on. And what it's come down to, as to the best of our knowledge, is that there is a body called the FATF, the Financial Action Task Force, and we were aware of them from before, but how they come into play in the story now is it seems that the current government is very keen on meeting a certain FATF deadline in March of 2026 next year. And we learned this mainly from listening to what we thought would be the reading of this bill in Parliament the following Friday. But it turned out to be the reading of a bunch of other bills that also had to do with like the FATF.
Right.
So I sat through the whole parliamentary debate. First time I ever watched a whole parliamentary debate in my life. You always see it on like the news when you pass the TV or something, but you never like sit and take it in. But I took it in. It was like 7 hours, and somehow simultaneously the most interesting and boring thing I think you could watch in Trinidad and Tobago. Is like these come real good, like the politicians when they're ready to like debate it and stuff like that. But in any case, what we learned is that the government seems really keen on meeting this FATF deadline, and it seems that they are pushing through a number of bills eventually to get them into law, legislation, that would do a couple good things for Trinidad and Tobago on one hand, but it's also being pushed through with such a speed to meet the deadline that there's also like just fallout and consequences from that as well.
Right.
So at first, you have all these thoughts going through your mind. It's cryptocurrency. You might think, the banking sector hasn't been like super friendly to crypto. I'm saying that's very nicely. I myself have lost accounts with a number of banks in Trinidad and Tobago just from being in this industry. You may think like, is it the banks? Is it some other interest? Like all these things like will run through your head. But ultimately, it doesn't seem to be like nefarious. It doesn't seem to be like anything the government has against cryptocurrency per se. It's just that they want to meet this deadline. It's in March. They're trying to take the best course of action in their view to meet that deadline. And that seems to be why this entire thing is unfolding the way it is.
But this deadline then, when you say they're trying to meet a deadline, like, so to be part of, to hit that deadline, you have to ban cryptocurrency. You have to, like, what is do we know what governments are being asked to do? I have no clue.
Yeah, it's a real good question, right? I mean, one we had to ask ourselves as well is like, okay, well, you want to meet the deadline? Cool, we understand. We also want you to meet the deadline. That's fine. But it seems that there are different paths that maybe the FATF gives countries in order to meet its standards and meet its deadlines.
Right.
And it seems that maybe the quickest and easiest path on the face of it is just ban it.
Right.
Ban it for a period of time. You could deal with it later. But there are also consequences that come with that path. One of the consequences is you don't actually position yourself as progressive as it relates to still this global phenomenon, innovation, wave of cryptocurrency that we are 17 years into right now.
Yeah.
So what you really are saying is, okay, we couldn't figure it out in 17 years. Nobody blames you. We're saying we need 19. All right, we'll figure it out in 19. It's like, you could take that approach. That's fine. I mean, you could do what you want. But it also comes with consequences, not just in terms of meeting FATF standards and that deadline, which is very important. We understand. Trinidad and Tobago wants to position itself as very financially capable, and I can imagine the new government coming in wants to maybe clean up a lot of what they perceive or what they see as things that should have been done in the past or whatever the case. Very understandable, you know. But there are other paths, we think. There are easier paths, simpler paths to actually not just do a blanket ban, but actually move in a more progressive direction towards actually beginning to regulate the industry. We're not saying to take a huge jump forward or anything. We're saying that actually there's been a lot of consultation in the past over the last couple of years between the different potential regulators, central bank, FIU, TTSEC. There's a lot of people in those organizations who've sat in conferences and like worked on draft bills and done all sorts of stuff regarding this industry and this space. Lots of surveys went out, people have spoke at events, like all sorts of stuff. What we're saying is you can actually take just a few steps in the direction towards regulation, and you could take a few prudent steps. And even if you feel like it's too much or you don't understand it or you don't know if you could do it in time, etc., this is where other jurisdictions have done things like public-private partnerships.
Or sandboxes
Or
that
sandboxes.
allow for a limited rollout,
Correct.
like what Barbados did back in 2017, 2018,
Correct.
with M-Money
Correct.
and what those guys were doing. So it at the end of the day, it's
Because you run the risk when you do a blanket ban, you run the risk that it's now actually going to be a bit harder to regulate it in that next 2 years because you actually are saying stop all activity, don't do anything. So then it's really hard for those people whose job it is to then collect the information around like who's in the industry,
yeah.
what kind of volumes, what kind of business models are we seeing, what kind of demand are we experiencing. Are people really building products? Like, do people really have customers? Like, these kinds of things really inform the regulation, right? And so I understand where the government is coming from. We understand, but what we want to propose is that through consultation, conversation with actual operators, there are people in the space who are just in the space but not operating the way that Sunshine is. 4 years of operations. We built out compliance program, KYC process, KYC, AML, transaction monitoring, sanction screening, like due diligence, enhanced due diligence. It's like, you know how much compliance stuff I had to learn about in this time?
Yeah.
We have a compliance officer. We have international partners as well. Their compliance standards are real high. We have to meet those as well. You know, you actually have companies that have this level of expertise, and we think a much better path is to just talk to us. We are open book. We would be happy to actually talk and just say like, hey, this is what we do. This is how we do it. This is our compliance program. What do you think? Do you think it's good enough? Do you think it needs to be better? We're open.
But see that, and I agree with you. But then I would then ask, like, do you think a sandbox program might be something that we should let the regulators locally know and the politicians know? Hey, look, okay, we understand that you all want to figure stuff out and I also want to ask you about, why December 2027, but I don't know if that's just we given ourselves 2.5 years to figure it out, but
Right.
or to put things in place, which again, technically is fine, but to hinder innovation, hinder progress for those 2.5 years doesn't say, or 2.25 years doesn't seem worth it.
It's actually not. But you see, you'd have to understand the true value of innovation and understand the opportunity cost of not having innovation. And I don't actually blame politicians per se for not necessarily having a super strong understanding of that, because I think the people who have the strongest understanding of that is actually the entrepreneurs, the operators, the founders, because it actually takes a lot of work to bring innovation, like country changing level innovation, to a place. It's a lot of work. You hear about founder stories, like what they go through and like how they like. I mean, like I said, I'm 20 years an entrepreneur. I have stories of my own. We go through a lot as founders, and I think entrepreneurship is not something that is like exalted, and it's not something that is truly valued. We don't understand exactly what would happen if we did value entrepreneurs. Because I think in this society, and I was telling you off the camera before, I've been having some conversations recently, and a lot of them have been going like this. I think we have a social challenge, I would say, in Trinidad and Tobago in terms of entrepreneurship or people who actually go out and do the work. When you start to do that too much, you tend to get people around you who are like, I should be you, right? I should be in your position. You should be not in your position. And this dynamic is something that, besides solving the problem in the market, besides serving the customers, besides dealing with policies from the government, or like, you also are dealing with this social dynamic of, but how do you actually progress in this place? And entrepreneurs, I would say, fight that battle probably
More than anybody else.
more than anybody else.
Well, because it's part of the path. It's part of the gauntlet.
It is. It's part of the course.
Yeah, you're not going to start anything. You're not going to, innovate any space without going through those things.
Correct.
In some way, shape, or forms. So I guess it's hard not to look at it as a hindrance.
Well, actually, this is the beauty of being an entrepreneur as well.
Is that problem solving is just part of the course?
Look, I couldn't even sleep on Saturday night. That Saturday night when the bill came out, I couldn't even sleep because I'm so excited about, wow, like something's happening in my space. Like, all right, let's get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like
Yeah,
that's really the mindset, that's the mentality.
Yeah.
So at this point now, we are at a point where, like, me and my leadership team, me and my entire team, we're just galvanized around like, okay, come what may, whether the bill passes in its current form, whether it is amended, we are still sunshine. We still have a vision. We still have a mission. This financial freedom that we would like to bring to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, eventually to the people all around the world, it's still going to happen, right? The path that we take to achieve that vision, to achieve our mission, might change a little bit for 2 years as it relates to Trinidad and Tobago, if this bill comes in its current form. But we will figure it out. And we actually are viewing this situation as maybe the best thing that ever happened to our company. Because all of a sudden, overnight, the spotlight now comes onto our entire industry. And even though it's still a little shrouded in terms of like, well, who are the players? What do they do exactly, etc., it's becoming clearer and clearer and clearer that there is a company called Sunshine, and they have done the work. They just did the work.
Yeah.
When you pull back the hood, it's all there. So what would you like to see? Because we can show it to you. So I think that is really what these kinds of things, when companies actually get to the stage where they become, I don't want to use the word successful, but when they become sustainable, when they become profitable, when you actually get to see the innovation that they bring, when the people are saying like, nah, we really like that company. We use that service. Like, that's when I think you start to get, one, like an improvement in the whole entrepreneurial ecosystem, because people look and they see, well, that guy is from Barataria. I'm from Barataria. I'm from Sawa. I'm from Diego Martin. Like, then people start to be like, wait, I could actually do that. And then they go try to do it. but they have good examples.
Right.
Entrepreneurship in Trinidad and Tobago, unfortunately, falls into a very performative kind of category. It's more about like, how much media attention can I get? How much pips can I get? Can I stand in a picture with some? Can I win a prize? Can I win a grant? As opposed to, can I get customers, bro? Can I get customers? Can I grow a business? Can I have profitability? Can I actually bring the innovation that I see into the real world? And I think when that starts to happen, then you will get the policymakers being like, oh, like actually, like the people real liked when those companies were created, and like we were in charge when that happened. So what does that mean? Like, so then we look pretty good.
Yeah.
And
Innovation happened under us.
It was under us, and we let you claim it too. We let you claim it too, because it did happen under you, because you did start to create that environment that allowed innovation to happen, even as you had deadlines to meet as well, and you had commitments that you wanted to meet. We understand. We want you to meet your deadlines. We want to actually help you meet your deadlines. It's not just me that I'm speaking for as well. There's the Fintech Association of Trinidad and Tobago, who has been doing good work to sort of get in front of the policymakers and kind of like be a voice for the industry. And they are doing some good work in that respect as well. So it's not just us that we are speaking for. It's just that we are really in the space, really operating day to day with what you actually like. When that bill comes out, it actually applies to us today, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that there are many companies that can say exactly that in Trinidad and Tobago now. There are a few.
There are a few, yeah. I know Mark and Wham might fall under that with just with what they're doing, which is quite amazing. You know, bringing kind of a financial inclusivity side of the conversation to the mix in terms of allowing people to transact. Everybody from vendors come right up to transact digitally, and kind of incorporate them into a more financially inclusive space and community. I hope, before I say that, what happens if the bill gets read this Friday, which I guess, we're recording this a couple of days early, but this should come out the day that it potentially reads. What happens if it gets read on Friday?
Then the whole industry will get some clarity one way or the other, right? We will
because
see,
it'll be debated. Both sides would then ask questions and
correct. Both sides would ask questions, etc. Of course, in our House of Representatives right now, one side, if you watch it on TV, you could see the difference. One side is like, you could agree, you could disagree. We still on top right now.
Yeah,
so whether it's debated or not is a non-issue,
but at least we'll get some clarity.
We will get clarity. We will see how everything shakes out. We will see what information was passed to which parties, who is going to say what. We're going to actually see all of that. It'll be very exciting. But what we really hope to see, what every actor in this space is hoping to see, is amendments to this bill that would allow for the legitimate actors in this space to continue to develop the business and the innovation.
And that's what I was going to say, is that I hope that that y'all do get, you, Mark, everybody else that I know that's kind of in the space, get a direction for what you're allowed to do. It sucks that I have to even frame it that way, but what you're allowed to do, because I don't see how hindering innovation in this space. I've been in it for a long, long time. I worked at a blockchain consultancy firm, back in 2018, and I understand the innovations that are happening around the world.
Correct.
And it would really suck if we don't get to do that in Trinidad and people have to do it in the shadows or leave to do that. It's like, why are you encouraging people to either not to stop working or leave and do their work? That's an unfortunate position. Now, if that is collateral damage for the time being, maybe I would feel a little bit more comfortable if they said that. So at least I understood that they're not doing this to hurt anybody. They're just saying, look, we understand that people get swept up in this, but we have to kind of do this to move ourselves forward for X, Y, and Z. If we get that, I would kind of feel a little bit better, as opposed to just kind of getting swept up in the madness and people saying, you can't do this and you can't. I mean, I'm not involved in it, but when I say y'all, saying that y'all can't do this and you can't do that.
Well, I hear what you are saying as well. And I mean, it's all well and good if the government wants to meet this deadline, etc. But now we get into like the actual consequences. We talked about the consequences as it relates to innovation. That's true. But the kinds of consequences that we are going to get in that 2 years is not just innovation that loses out. The amount of scams. I mean, I always talk about Second Star. He made that song Dubai. Tell the admin I'm looking for him there.
Right.
He not answering, and I'm looking. That's because of scams,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That song to me is like so important in our culture because it really speaks to like the kind of madness that has taken place in the
Oh,
scam space.
I
mean,
hate hearing those stories.
there's so many times like I've been on the phone with customers, potential customers, like, yo, you're in a scam. Like, please, auntie, don't do it. She ain't gonna listen to me. She ain't gonna go and actually, cause she's saying like, I put in my 1,000, I gonna get 20,000, dog. She ain't gonna get 20,000.
No.
She gonna lose 20,000. You know, when you don't have guidance, when you don't have regulation, the most vulnerable in society are going to be targeted.
Yeah.
And the people who do this kind of activity, one, a lot of them aren't based in Trinidad and Tobago. And then two, when you are involved in scams and nefarious activities of any kind, you don't even watch the budget. You don't even watch the bill. You don't even know you have a bill.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
You also don't care.
What you're doing is illegal anyway. So.
Correct. And also, when you put a ban like this in place and you push things into the deeper and deeper into the underground, the price, the opportunity for bad actors actually increases. It's actually better business for them. So you are actually blocking because you want to get to the deadline, which we understand. Deadlines are important. You want to get to the deadline, but are you actually aware of the real consequences that will happen if you pass this bill in its current form? And all we're saying is that there are simple things, there are little things that can be done to enhance the bill so that it is more of a step forward. And from what we understand, just from our research and speaking to other people and so on, different jurisdictions, what they did, etc., the FATF likes that. They like to see when a country is like, you know what, we getting started now. Here's how we're starting. This is what we're doing. You know, can you provide any guidance?
Right.
And or this is what we're doing, right? I think, like, at the end of the day, yes, there's all these bodies and so on, but you're going to be like speaking to a person. You're going to be dealing with a person. You inherited a country that had been debating these issues for the last 9 years, and now you came and you are pushing it forward. That's actually, I find that's pretty good, right? But it really matters the quality of how you push it forward, because the fallout from it can actually affect the society in an extremely adverse way that maybe I might be conscious of, because I'm talking to auntie like, auntie, no, please.
Right.
Like, and auntie's not listening to me, you know? So will they listen? It's not just a money-making thing, right? It's, can we provide the products, the services, the experiences, and the education to make financial freedom possible for the people of Trinidad and Tobago? We want to empower them. So yes, we will make money because we are a business, but at the same time, we also want our members, our customers to benefit. We want the whole industry to benefit as well. All the other players, whether it's WAM, Z Labs, you have X-Border from Royal, you have Guap, you have TT Exchange, you have a couple players. You have a couple players well, right? Me personally, as an entrepreneur of 20 years, meet me in the market.
Yeah.
Right? Let's actually, you sharpen me, I sharpen you. Oh, you did that over there. That was real good. I didn't even see that coming. Okay, I'm going to step my game up. You're going to step your game up. Who wins? The customer. Innovation, like the whole country wins when we collaborate where it's important, but then have that healthy sportsmanship level competition so that you can actually develop the industry. Because if it's one thing I learned about doing business, entrepreneurship, all this sort of stuff, is that markets are huge. They are gigantic. Just the market for iPhone sales in Trinidad and Tobago alone is like in the tens of millions of dollars. Imagine what the market for financial services is, the biggest markets in the world. I think like we ought to kind of consider that as well, both from a operator side and from a governmental side.
What kind of amendments
Yes.
would you like to see?
Yes. So
I mean, now I'm curious. I'm curious in those specifics. Like, what do you want to see changed or added?
yes. Okay. So In our case, we actually put out a position paper, which is available on our LinkedIn page. People can go like see that position paper at any point in time. Just Sunshine on LinkedIn. Or if you were to look at Jarryon Paul on LinkedIn, you'd find it. But in that position paper, we lay out just 4 simple changes from our perspective. And the main point of those changes is actually to move away from this sort of like ban moratorium is what it's called, and introduce more of like a transitional framework whereby existing operators can actually enter this sort of transitional space. You can call it a sandbox, you can call it whatever you want. But the point is, do not force businesses to close. Allow businesses to come to the TCSEC, say, hey, this is us, this is what we do, this is who we are.
We've been operating.
Here's our financials, here's our books, here's like whatever you want to see, here it is. And allow us to be provisionally licensed. Provisionally. Now we have to go through a procedure with you over the same 2 years or whatever time period you say to determine whether we will actually gain the license at the end of it. But when you just stop business just like that, I don't think people understand like what the cost of that is if they haven't actually built a business from the ground up. If it's team members, employees, it's partnerships, it's revenue, it's your customers, all the customers, like, what are we going to do as well? You know, so ultimately all our provisions, everything that we suggest is around do not just use a blanket ban. We understand why you want to do it, but we're just stating that there's a better way. In fact, I was just sharing with another colleague of mine, and this is something that's very true for Sunshine. We have like principles. We have 13 business principles, actually. And one of those principles is always a simple solution. When hard things come up, when it's challenges, when it's problems, and we're like, what to do, whatever, we remember the principle, always a simple solution.
The ask principle.
Yeah, where is that? You want to take that?
The ask principle. No, go on. Always a simple solution. I do like that, though. I'm going to use that.
Always a simple solution. There is always a simple solution. And I learned this from like a 90-year-old Trinbagonian lady who worked at like Citibank, and her story was so incredible. I was like, yo, like, I'm told her, I'm like, yeah, I need to use this as a principle in my business. She said, there's always a simple solution. All you have to do is find it. You can't spend the time delving into unnecessary complexity. You can't get overwhelmed by like all that's going on, or you could spend that same time looking for the simple solution. It always exists. It mightn't be the easy choice. It mightn't be the easiest. It mightn't be hardest. It mightn't be the fastest. It mightn't be the cheapest. You might have to say sorry. You might have to apologize. But there is a simple solution, and all you have to do is find it, right? We rarely believe in that, you know. So when these things come up, one, that mentality helps us to pivot regardless, because like I mentioned, we launch a remittance company at the end of this, a remittance service at the end of this year, right? And that's between North America and Trinidad and Tobago. That doesn't actually have anything to do with cryptocurrency, right? So we will pivot regardless, but it's really not just about us. It's about the whole industry, the whole space, and what we think is best is not going in that direction of a ban, but actually stating, okay, there is a way to have this transitionary period, and that's what we think will work best. Allow the companies that can demonstrate. It's not just anybody could walk off the street and say, well, I was always... It's like, no. Allow the companies that can demonstrate that they have been acting credibly in this space to come forward and say, this is me.
Or operating, really.
Or operating, yeah.
You know?
We think this works best for everyone. And we actually, in the industry, actually want you to meet that deadline too. And we are willing to assist however we can.
Didn't we just grant licenses for the issuance of CBDCs? Who got licenses for that here?
CBDCs, I don't know about...
No, we didn't get anything like that.
No.
What about these guys like Paywise and Pesh and all those guys? What did they get?
So what they have is an e-money license.
My apologies. An e-money license.
Yes, it's an EMI license. So this is a license that, I mean, and again...
It's not a digital asset? Or no?
No, and so, I mean, this is kind of... Sorry, just as like a testament to how much we don't actually care about innovation generally in Trinidad and Tobago. Because electronic money is essentially what like Cash App and Venmo and in even some cases like Zelle in
Right.
the US. That's what that is like. It's like you take your dollars that you would have in the bank and and the money still actually stays in a bank. But
You
instead
just
of
have
it,
a digital ledger.
you have a digital ledger, but it's still the dollar. And the banks are still always quite involved in that process.
Right.
Right? But you can have a wallet that can have money on it, like TT dollars on that wallet. And the EMI license is very specific about you cannot have US dollars. You cannot do anything with foreign exchange. You must have only TT dollars. It must be only local dollars. Like they're very specific about that. Right? Which is why we also did not pursue such a license because we realized that like that's not what we do.
Right.
We don't actually do that. But other players pursued that license because maybe they wanted to go into that business. Maybe they wanted to go into the business of wallets and like you have this wallet, you could make a better Cash App. Like Paywise does that,
Right.
for example. You mentioned Pesh. Of course, there's WAM. There's all these different players who do that, right? I think Digicel has one too. I think
I heard that they have
like,
some, yeah.
Mobile might have a TSCT. I think Massey has one as well, or like a remittance license. So you have these licenses, but that is not what we're talking about when we talk about a VASP license, right? That's something different. We've seen the regulations for this in Bermuda and Bahamas and all over the world.
What type of license is that?
The VASP license,
Which is a virtual.
asset service provider license.
Got it.
In some places in like Europe, they call it the CASP license, crypto asset service provider.
Got it.
Right. But what we saw from feedback we got from there was a central bank article, and we got some feedback otherwise that what the government actually looked at seems to be like Belize, right? Because Belize pursued a path of the ban. So they were like, well, we want to do a ban. Who's done a ban? They look at Belize. Belize did a ban. But my question is, do we want to be Belize?
It's a beautiful country.
I love
beautiful country.
Nothing against
but,
Belize, but do they have a thriving, innovative financial services sector? I haven't heard of it if they do, but my guess is going to be that it's less thriving than like Bahamas, Bermuda. I'm going to guess that it's less thriving, and it's because of the approach that they took. We understand the approach. We're not saying that there's inherently anything wrong with the approach, like why you would want to do it. What we're asking is that you would consider everyone who would be affected.
And not shuttering businesses.
Yeah, because we see what's happening in Trinidad and Tobago. It's hard enough as it is.
That's true.
Can we not shoot ourselves in the foot for a second?
Again? As we seem to do
bleeding.
over and over.
I'm bleeding. And you have to take we all know this saying, if you don't laugh, you'll cry, right? We be wanting to cry, but we just smile and keep it pushing.
Yeah.
Because somebody has to actually go through the process to actually showcase what is innovation.
Yeah.
Show it. It has to be shown. It has to be undeniable. People have to be like, the same people in the government have to be like, actually, I'm a Sunshine member.
Yeah.
Like,
I've used Sunshine, or whatever
Yeah.
the case may be.
or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Whoever, whatever.
That would be
service.
very interesting if somebody did.
Yeah, correct. Like,
I mean, yeah.
because then it'll be kind of too close to home. It'll be like, I don't know if we could or should.
Yeah.
But when you're a bit removed from it, which we understand, policymakers, their job is to make policies and to like run the country from that perspective. We understand, but let's give Trinidad and Tobago a fighting chance. We have the US dollar problem. I just listened to Marla Dukaran's presentation on the US dollar problem, like why is it happening, like all that sort of stuff. She had a lot to say, right? But the point is,
It didn't just start. It's been happening for a long time.
it has. You're looking at these graphs that go back to like 2006, and like it's just there's a lot of data there.
Before, when this problem actually started, people think that just intuitively, people would think that it started when you walk into a bank and you all of a sudden couldn't get $100
Right.
US. It started far before that.
Yes, yeah, of course.
And in the way that our consumption patterns
Yep.
and that our consumption appetite
Right.
has grown immensely over the
Right.
last 2-3 decades.
Yeah.
And we import everything. Food security, not even a conversation.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
we have a lot of people talking about it, but it doesn't seem to be a priority at all. And we've just said, okay, that's fine. We'll import it. We'll import it because we have the US dollars. We'll import it. But nobody looked ahead and said, okay, cool, no problem. No problem if we can import it. But but can we keep doing this? Do we have a system in place that we can keep doing this?
Correct.
And the very simple and complex answer is no. And it
Yeah.
wasn't, you know, it wasn't sustainable back then, and it's obviously not sustainable now.
Correct. And it must be tough, I would say, for a government to come in and inherit like the weight of all these problems that maybe they didn't actually put in place all those problems. You know? So it's very understandable. You want to clean things up. You want to clean it up quickly. You want to like showcase like it's
Efficiency.
Efficiency. This is us. We doing things. We want you to do things, actually. We
Yeah.
need you to do things because we need to do things, not just on the governmental side, but private sector has to do things too. Just the average citizen has to do things. The family has to do things, like religious, but everybody has to do things. Academic has to do things. All of us have to do things. But it really matters what things we do.
Yeah.
It really matters.
That's true. Yes, absolutely.
It really matters what things we do. We're not saying no, but please, you know, allow the whole country to have a fighting chance. There is a way. Like not everything has to be like how it was. Like somebody has to take us to the future. Like who's it gonna be? It could be you.
Yeah. I want to see, like, I consider myself a patriot.
Same.
I want to see us advance. Like, I look around at Trinidad as a filmmaker and an actor, and of course, I have this podcast. It's more of a personal thing where I want to learn as much as possible. But
Right.
you know, I look around as an actor and a filmmaker, and of course, that industry has its issues. Has its own issues, its own funding issues, and its own, you know, policy issues. And we're actually going. It's the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival right now.
Right. It is. It's going on right now.
Yeah, it's going on right now.
Yeah,
I
last
think
few days.
the last couple of days, and it's been, I mean, some unbelievable films.
I heard so.
I watched a couple, whether it's a short or a feature, and you look at these things, and it's coming out of the Caribbean. I mean, some Trini films, Trinbagonian films, but you know, all throughout the Caribbean and outside the region. And I just think to myself, it's like, if, you know, we have people fighting in this industry to make things, and we have people fighting in so many industries, and how nice it would be if kind of everything kind of comes together, and, you know, the film industry has their side, the fintech industry has their side,
Yep.
and just make things happen at the end of the day. That's really the goal, is just to make things happen, because you see the pitfalls. It's too many pitfalls that we can't avoid, like policy issues and funding issues, but at the end of the day, I guess that's just what it is.
Yeah, and as you speak about film as well, like, you know, the question always comes like, what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite movie? And like, for me, I think probably top of my list is actually a movie from a Trinbagonian filmmaker.
Which is what?
Cheese.
Oh.
By Damien Marcano.
Of course. He just won an Emmy.
He just won an Emmy for The Pit.
The Pit.
Right?
Yeah.
I haven't even seen The Pit, but I remember going to the launch of Cheese in IMAX and sitting down in the thing and like not knowing anything about Damien Marcano, having no context about Cheese, nothing. I'm sitting down there and you watch this movie and you're just like, dog, we did that?
Yeah.
You know? It's
But
like,
the actors in it are legendary.
it's real good.
I love the guys that were in it.
So good.
You know, you have Akil, you have
Akil with Jared Williams.
and
Ayana.
Ayana, Cezanne,
Cezanne, yeah.
Omar Jara,
Yeah. You had him panting.
the late Chris Smith.
I didn't.
Phenomenal actor. Was it Cheese? I think it was Cheese.
Okay.
It was Cheese or Fire Queen. I
Right.
think it was Cheese.
Fire Queen is
I think it was
another one.
Cheese.
Right.
And I worked with Chris on many different things.
Right.
And he passed away some years ago. But
Condolences.
phenomenal work.
Then you
that,
had,
that Damien did.
You had Lou from Freetown
Yes.
doing the scoring for the whole show.
Remember God Loves a Fighter?
Yes.
Was that Storm or was that Damien Marcano?
I think that's Damien Marcano
Damien
as well.
Marcano as well.
I think that was
I don't
Damien
know how I'm
Marcano as
getting
well.
confused there, but yeah.
No, it's the example. Those kind of examples seriously inspire me as somebody who's also like building it. Like I always see this parallel between the creatives and the entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Right? It's those kind of things seriously inspire me when I see like this guy, you know, his tag on Instagram is I from Mover.
Yeah.
And he just shoots in these films. And the film's just great.
And
you know?
you know the thing, the filmmakers I think are some of the ultimate entrepreneurs, because every
Real.
film is a new business.
Real.
Is a new, whether you had a success before or a failure before with your last film, this next one is a whole new business.
Yeah.
And you need a whole new set of founders, co-founders, a whole new set of people working on your film. It's like,
Yeah.
entrepreneurship kind of like on creative steroids.
They showed the film 3 times in Trinidad. I'm close, and I only saw it twice.
Yeah.
Like I'm upset.
Yeah.
But again, it's just these are the things that are possible. When you see it, then you believe you can actually do it. And I think
Well, that's a famous phenomenon. Knowing that something is possible.
correct.
Like there was a famous with the mile, running of the mile. And there was a guy, this is back the 30s, the 20s, 30s, 40s, 100
Right.
years ago, almost 100 years ago. And he ran a 4 or 5 minute mile. I'm going to butcher all the
Yes.
numbers.
No. I know what you're
But
talking
he ran
about.
the
Though.
4 or 5 minute mile.
Yeah. And no one
they
had done
said-
it before.
Nobody had done it before. And
Right.
they said, okay, well, this is the limit.
correct.
Nobody can run. It's your heart will explode. I think they
Right,
said if you can run a faster mile, your heart will explode
Right.
before you finish. And it stood for X amount of years or whatever the case is.
Right.
And one guy trained, broke the record for the mile, the fastest mile, and within that same year
Right.
that he broke that he broke that barrier of 4 or 5 minutes,
Yeah.
like 22 other runners had also broke the barrier because
Right.
it became possible in the ether. It was always possible.
Correct.
But if everybody keeps it on, that's not possible. Oh, that's impossible. You can't do it. Then
Correct.
people aren't even going to try.
Exactly. I always remember her name is Linda Rottenberg. She's the founder of an organization called Endeavor. And I remember like listening to a podcast as well, Masters of Scale podcast with Reid Hoffman, like back in the day. And he's talking to her about like how she built Endeavor. And her whole thing was, how do we create Silicon Valleys outside of Silicon Valley? What are the factors that are most important? And she broke it down, did studies in a bunch of different countries they were operating in, this whole like Endeavor community ecosystem thing. And in the end, it turns out that the number one factor to create the next Silicon Valley or space where like entrepreneurship and innovation is flourishing is examples. It's examples.
It's just examples.
People just need to see that it's
possible.
possible. If you see that it's possible, then you will realize that you could actually do it, or you could do a variation of it. And that's what we should actually be wanting, like on every level of the society. We hear about like crabs in a barrel mentality. I mean, we live that. We see that in all our individual personal lives. That we need the reverse of that, which is we need strong examples, and those examples then lead the way for other people. I want people to come and beat me, like so that I could be like, oh, he do that, boy. Like, nah, I can't take that. I had a like, and then we
have
just
to
level
level
up and
Yeah.
up and up. And that's what we should want.
And
And
then it's the same in the film industry as well.
Right.
Like, just a quick example.
Yeah.
No private sector company wants to fund a movie,
Right.
or no private sector individual wants to invest in a movie because the return has not really been seen
Right.
that
True.
much. But I think that through good planning, which is essentially good producing,
Right.
you can make money in film
Yeah.
through good distribution channels, even if it's just regionally through the English, Spanish, and French speaking Caribbean.
Right.
You get distribution in all those cinemas. If your film is cheap enough, and I'm not talking about a $200 million movie, of course not, but if you a couple $1 million, TT could make a phenomenal movie, a really good movie.
It could, and now that we've seen it.
And a couple $1 million, yeah, exactly, and a couple $1 million TT movie that's well written, and produced and thought of for the commercial market. They're they're artsy films and then they're commercial films. But
Yeah.
if we're talking about the commercial side, you make a good commercial film written well, and you get distribution in just the Caribbean, you'll make money
Right.
because you'll get $3-4 million in ticket sales.
And like
Once you market it well, it has to be thought of commercially, just like a business.
correct. And every place has its strengths and weaknesses. I mean, I don't think anybody could argue like Trinidad and Tobago probably most creativity per square capita on the whole planet. Can we like leverage that creativity, whether it's through entrepreneurship, whether it's through the creative arts, the orange economy? Like, can we leverage this? Can that environment exist? And just to like tie it back to the bill as well, it's just like you have to consider all these things. I don't know. I wish the policymakers could listen to this conversation. I don't know how they can. I don't know who could give it to them to just watch it, right? Because the kind of impact that a progressive bill could have could actually change the face of the whole country. It mightn't come from the fintech sector, but just the work, just people seeing that this is the kind of government that we have. Like, nah, they're really about it. They're really trying to, like, you know, everybody really could win. Then okay, cool, great. That's what we want to see. That's what everybody actually wants to see. So if these kinds of things can happen with a bill like this, and we can see those kind of positive amendments, and we could see, you know, the consultation, we can see these things, then I think it's a net positive, not just for our industry, but all of Trinidad and Tobago could benefit, because we will tell the story. We will go out and tell the story. Like, well, first it was like this, but then we talked to them and they talked to us, and we talked to them and they talked to us, and it was looking like, but then they came and said, and then we said, and that's how we ended up here. So thank you. And that's why we have this business today. And that's why, like, you know, so it snowballs. It's a positive snowball. You want this. You want this. Yeah. You want this. Yes, you want to meet FATF guidelines, their requirements. No doubt you want that too. But you could get both, though.
Right. Let's look at both.
Let's
not shut down businesses.
Yeah, you could get both. And we implore you to get both, right? That's what we want as a people. We want you to get both.
Well, I think that's a great message. I'm glad that you were able to kind of sum up, because at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I don't want a ban, but it's like, and you know why? I mean, I guess we could say, yeah, well, you don't want a ban because we don't want it to just be outright banned. But it was nice that you were able to articulate it as to, we don't want to fall behind. We want to be able to service customers, and being able to service customers in this sector actually means progression for us in financial inclusivity with the rest of the world. Nobody wants a TT dollar. It sucks, but nobody wants a TT dollar. So we need to figure that out as well.
Yeah, and honestly, you see, along the entrepreneurial journey as well, something that's very important, was important for me at least, was figuring out what type of entrepreneur I am. I am very much like a contemplative counselor. I am somebody who, like, drinks in information over time and, like, passes it and figures out, like, what is going on. Like, I'm not necessarily the biggest executor to come in every day and, like, yeah, we're going to get, like, nah, if I do that for 2 weeks, that might be it for me. I might have to take a break. But just considering these sort of, like, ideas and implications of things. I mean, economics was always extremely interesting to me, like technology, like Bitcoin and crypto, all this stuff just opened up a whole new world for me, like, intellectually, right? But then you want to, and you get into, like, why are we in this situation? I'm the kind of person that sits back and reads books and, like, reads articles and goes to Mala Dukuran's thing and, like, drinking in information. And the reason the TT dollar is devalued is because we have devalued it. It's actually so simple. Like, we have to put the value back into the dollar.
Yeah.
And we get to choose whenever we want to do that. We get to decide. But if we just allow things to just run in this kind of haphazard way, and yes, we're meeting international standards, but, like, we're not listening to the people. We're not, like, you're not allowing innovation. You're not allowing problems to be solved, like, for whatever reason. You pick the reason. But it's like, this will continue to devalue the TT dollar. We live next door to Venezuela. We saw what happened. It was right next door. We saw the huge migration of Venezuelans to Trinidad and Tobago. That was because the value of that dollar collapsed. We could be in a similar situation, and we should be doing all we can to increase our exports. How do you do that? You have to actually build the capacity for, like, business, entrepreneurship. Like, you have to actually train up people to have that mindset to, like, look outside. Like, how could we sell to the world? What could we do for the world? Yeah, we have oil and gas for now, but, like, what's the long-term plan? We have to actually put those things in place, and we could recover the TT dollar whenever we are ready to do it. It's really up to us, you know, but it's very difficult when some are going towards it, but most are not going towards it. And again, that's just part of the course as an entrepreneur. Not everyone wants to take up that amount of risk, but you could work well at an innovative company. You could contribute, you could help, whether you're a policymaker, whether you're a person who has certain skills, abilities. And we should be working in these companies, right? I think everybody wants something better, right? Everybody is like, back in my day, like it wasn't like this, like thing. Like I want to see those days too. My whole life I'm watching a decline. Nah.
Yeah. That's a
Come
good
on.
point.
I can't watch a decline for my whole life. That's not cool, bro.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
My whole generation, I think like us as millennials, we are just like, is that you kind of go into the machine and you just kind of like, are like, I'm in the machine. Or you realize like, nah, boy, like something had to change. And I think my generation is very much about like change and transformation. Like it's just inherent in us. We are not as radical as your Gen Zs. I mean, they're like burning down like cities and thing, you know. But we're not as radical, but they have a part to play too to agitate like, nah, we have to break up some of these structures. We have to evolve. We have to change. We have to grow. We have to transform. And I just feel like our generation is a real bridge between the older ones and the younger ones, and have a potential to kind of like bring it together and sum it up as to like, okay, we understand what happened in the past, but like we want a future and like we're here. How about we go in this direction? And we need your support on this side. We need your support on this side. And we could do it.
Awesome. I really appreciate you coming on because I just gained a whole lot of clarity on the bill, but also kind of what's going on around the country and around in the region with respect to digital assets and, of course, what you all are doing. But yeah, I mean, I guess we wait.
Yeah.
I guess just like everything else. So if it doesn't get read Friday, I guess it's kind of delayed for some time.
Yeah.
I should really know those procedures, but I guess I don't.
Yeah, well, I'm getting to learn them very well.
Well, yeah, I'm sure.
Real taking it in.
No, but thanks, Jarryon. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I think at the end of the day, people need to hear about these things. People need to know what's going on besides just a headline, which is kind of how news kind of proliferates these days. It's just a headline. So I guess it's nice to hear when it's broken down. So, and not just broken down from a problems perspective, but also, you know, what should be, what could happen, or what you know, some examples of ways to get around an all right ban, which I'm in favor of not an all right ban. I think a transitory period where people can still operate, but under different set of guidelines, you know, whether they're reporting guidelines or policy guidelines, whatever the case is.
Correct.
You know, so I wish you the best, and I'm going to be following along for you and the rest of the crew that's in this space.
Thank you.
But thanks for coming on and sharing your thoughts.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Can I say where people can actually find Sunshine?
Absolutely, yeah. Talk.
Yeah, it's just at You Found Sunshine on either LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and exchangesunshine.com.
Exchangesunshine.com, which that one I knew.
Yeah.
But your handles are You Found Sunshine.
At You Found Sunshine.
You Found Sunshine.
Yeah, we had to figure out, like, because it's the word sunshine is like, how do you get a handle for that?
Exactly. And trying to figure out how best to make it brandable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, we went through so many tools you could use to like figure out like handles across different platforms. But at You Found Sunshine, that's what we're working with for now.
You Found Sunshine.
And
I like that a lot, though.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
exchangesunshine.com.
Exchangesunshine.com.
Well, thank you so much again, Jarryon. We will. I hope the next time we talk, we have some good news.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure we
because
will.
No doubt when this bill kind of runs its course, we'll have more conversations to have. So
For sure.
all right, thanks so much again.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thanks.